The issue with Babar Azam, like for me, is not that okay, like yeah, the pressure is on him, fair enough. But bro, in his last 9 innings, 41 is his highest score. Now the issue with again him is just the fact that he's played most of these games in Pakistan.
It's tough to say that it's only him who's not performing well. At the end of the day, none of them consistently perform well. Like you look at a reality, right?
So everyone, welcome back to Sports Coverage with me, Adi and Rishi. Yeah, we're back to the cricket and we're back to some feisty, interesting cricket, bro. This is like England and Pakistan is getting very close. It looked after the first test like this was another sort of doom and gloom series for Pakistan. They got slapped by Bangladesh. It looked like they were going to get slapped by England. They lost by an innings in the first game, and it just looked like it's going to be a 3-0 quick changes once again in the Pakistani hierarchy. But like they've come back, they made some bold calls ahead of the second test, and they seem to have paid off. Uh, Sajid Khan, one of the players to have come in, the off spinner, who's done very, very well. Norman Ali did very well too. And the the big decision was Kamran Gulam coming in for Babar Azam, and that seems to have paid off, dude. Like paid off like crazy. So there's a lot of interesting things to talk about. Firstly, like again, I just want to start it off by just saying I'm very happy with the way the wicket played in this game. It wasn't one of those dusty that like just roads and you're just bowling and there's nothing happening. There's nothing for the seamers. It was still hard work for the seamers in the first innings. I think that's the benefit of batting first on a wicket like this. Pakistan did get to bat. They've gotten lucky a couple of times to have a bat first on these wickets. But hard work it was I saw in the first innings. But after that, it's just been chaos. Ball's been turning quite a bit. We saw England struggle a little in the first innings itself, and then Pakistan, when they came out of bat the second time, it was turning big. Sajid Khan, I'm saying sure, Bashir was having a lot of fun. Jack Leach bowled well. And in the final innings, it was a little too easy, man. Sajid Khan was just like really toying with the English batters, and so was Norman Ali. So, all in all, I don't think England were too bad. I don't think Pakistan were outstanding. Just think they got their spinners right. And Abrar Ahmed, bro, like again, I just want to say off the bat that he is not a guy who really gets those revs on the ball. He seems like a guy who just skids it on. And if you're playing test cricket and you can't turn the ball, bro, you can't play like test cricket, bro. If you are an off spinner, you need to be like that orthodox like off spinner that you've been seeing from 60s, 70s, 80s. Like that's what I mean. And that's what Sajid Khan is. A clean on the revs, like he gets a lot of revs on the ball and makes it turn. Abrar Ahmed, he seems more like a T20 bowler, bro. Like doesn't seem like a test bowler, test spinner. So yeah, I think they got the spinners right. They made some bold calls. Kudos to them for that. So yeah, we'll start off with that. There's a lot to discuss. Rishi, what do you make of it, dude? 1-1 now. They go into the third test, and anything can happen.
I mean, this was the ideal scenario from a neutral perspective, right? Like this way, the whatever shred of hopes that the England cricket fans had of the England team making it to the World Test Championship is also gone right now. And Pakistan finally, now that they're put out of their misery in terms of they haven't had a home test win in the longest time. I can't remember the last time they had a home test win. It's been quite a long time. And finally they've had one. And now that they've had one, they have the Pakistan Cricket Board, their whole selection committee has a whole new headache. Because now that they've made some bold calls and that these calls have supposedly gone in their favor, what do? Do they stick with these players? Do they bring back some of their players? Because like I don't think in the first test Naseem Shah was too bad, but for some reason he found the axe as well. So now, if the pitch is going to be similar, do they bring him in or do they keep the same two spinners? Do they keep Noman Ali and Sajid Khan? Do they go with just one pacer? And what about Babar Azam? Like, of course, he's not like by the looks of it, they're not going to drop Kamran Ghulam, like for sure. The way he's
They can't. They can't.
Exactly.
And that's just
going forward, what of Babar Azam? What is he going to do? So from a neutral perspective, this was a perfect result because more than anything, this is just going to stir up even more controversy, even more drama going forward for Pakistan cricket. And like from a neutral perspective, it is beautiful to watch.
I just wanted to say, like, Amir Jamal, somebody that Shan Masood has spoken about quite a few times in his press conferences. Now you've got, it looks like you want to stick with this group of players. Um, Babar Azam is the big one. I think, dude, like, I just don't see how it's possible for him to come back into this team because I quite like the when you see at the top, you've got Abdullah Shafiq and Saim Ayub. Both, I think, deserving candidates for the opening spot. Saim Ayub is the younger one, and he's the guy who's breaking it, and he's done well. He's done well, like, over a course of games. Doesn't seem two-faced. You've got the righty-lefty combination going at the top, so I don't think he would make way at all. He scored 50s consistently in the last few games. Shan Masood is the captain. You aren't dropping him. Now, there is no other place for Babar Azam, bro. It's number 4, where Kamran Ghulam has come in, and he's done well.
Yeah.
And then number 5 is Saud Shakil, who's also done well. Like, if you really look at it, Babar is only guy in that batting order, the top order, who hasn't worked. And I just don't see how he's going to come back into this squad. And then number 6 is Mohammad Rizwan. You don't drop him, he's your keeper. So, Adi, you think it's curtains, bro, for Babar Azam as a test cricketer? Because it looks tough, bro, like for him to get back into the side now.
I mean, yeah, I see, dude. With Babar, I think it's tough. Like, I mean, you can't draw everything to Babar Azam, right? Like, it's just not Babar Azam who's coming and playing against England. It's not Babar Azam going and playing against Sri Lanka, against New Zealand, against Australia. I think it's an entire. It comes from the top. Like, I think Babar Azam was and is the face of Pakistan, so it's easy for him to be, the front runner for everything bad. You put it on him. We've seen that with India whenever India is in a bad run of form, whatever, it's Virat who gets the blame, especially in terms of batting collapse, etc. I think it's the same thing with him. I don't know if it's okay. Like, I do get it. Like, it's been 9 games since he's even scored. I mean, he's had like a very bad run of form in Test cricket. He's been 9-10 games since he last scored a 50, which is a bit concerning. But again, if you take context of what Pakistan go through every year, I think it's deeper than that, right? Because you look at these players you just mentioned, these guys come and perform well. They don't have any pressure to perform. It's like today I can perform well, tomorrow I don't perform well. It's easier for them to perform because they don't have that bullet on the head saying, okay, dude, your name is Babar Azam, you have to perform every game no matter what. With these guys, if tomorrow they have a 2 game where they're not able to score runs, they still don't have the pressure, okay? But when it comes to players like Babar Azam, especially with Pakistan, the way it's glorified, it's even worse. And I think it does take a mental toll on player. And I think that could be an aspect why he's has been affected in terms of just overall form. You look at and I look at Pakistan. I try to look at them as an entire team. It's tough to say that it's only him who's now performing well. At the end of the day, none of them consistently perform well. Like when you look at in reality, right? I do believe like the position he plays in a test match is the not the easiest place, but a very important position to score runs, and he's been failing to do that over the past 10 games, which you can't ignore. But again, it's more deeper than just, like, I think Babar Azam is in a bad run of form, and now like, okay, it's time for us to move on from him, because again, you get another guy, if he can't perform, like, you're just losing a quality player at the end of the day, no matter what.
No, the issue with Babar Azam, like, for me, is not that, okay, like, yeah, the pressure is on him, fair enough. But, bro, in his last 9 innings, 41 is his highest score. Now, the issue with, again, him is just the fact that he's played most of these games in Pakistan. And everyone around him has scored runs. They've scored 500, 600. Like, Pakistan have scored heaps of
That
runs.
was my point was that there are
No,
players
but
coming in.
that's different, bro. Like, I think you guys are just looking at stats, but my point is these players don't get the same treatment in every aspect of
Gets
sport.
belted every press conference. He's the
Adi, when
only
you're-
No,
Pakistani captain
Shan
who's not
Masood,
even
it's
been
very
are on
recent. You realize
national-
it's very recent. He's come back to the team. He's come back as a captain, etc. But like you look at it, like Babar Azam has been getting this for the past 4-5 years in his career. My point is,
I feel like
I
people in India would have reacted the same if Virat Kohli hadn't scored 50 in 9 games.
Bro,
like
there was a point of time where Virat used to not score centuries also. It was
but again,
4 years in
that's
a
what I'm saying.
row.
But India weren't scoring 500, 600 runs every innings. That's the difference.
At
Imagine
that point of
you.
time, India was still winning games.
We were winning
They
games,
went
We
Adi,
were
but
we
we
were
weren't
India
winning
went
scoring
games,
to
but
500,
it
bro,
wasn't. It
500,
wait,
wasn't
wait, wait,
600
wait,
runs.
like
wait. 1 second, wait. If you're talking, I don't like doing, comparisons. Like India is a totally different thing. But if you're going to say India was not scoring runs, I remember during the same time, Washington Sundar almost got a century. Ashwin had 2 centuries in the same time when Virat couldn't score a century. Even players like Pant scored a century. So I don't want to draw comparisons. I'm not comparing in any
Again,
case.
like
But
I think Virat is a different conversation. He still got 70s and 80s. I'm
yeah,
talking
I
about,
agree. And my point is,
yeah.
dude, the problem with Babar Azam, it's they've only played test games. And you look, I try to look at the overall, like these guys don't play ODI cricket at all. I feel like you need to overall play like enough cricket throughout the year to have like a well balanced player to get. Bro, it's like, okay, he's going through a bad form. For example, in test, I think having games like ODI helps you to like at least recover some form of, batting rhythm, etc. I look at Pakistan, dude. Do you know when the last time they played an ODI game? It was the World Cup. Since the World Cup, they've not played one ODI game. And I feel like these guys just don't play enough ODI cricket at all. And even Test cricket, they play like a decent amount of games. But even Test cricket in the past 2 years, they've only played 9 Test matches. The only thing Pakistan literally keep playing is random T20 games. You go back, they play like 10 T20 games. Okay, I understand it's a T20 World Cup, but they just don't play enough ODI cricket or Test cricket overall to even be like, okay, Babar Azam needs to get his rhythm back, whatever it is. For me, it's more like he gets targeted, bro, from every angle, from right from the coaching perspective, his own teammates. You go look at the fans, everyone targets him. I'm not
Targeting
going
and
to
all
sit
is
and say, dude, it's different. Rahul, it is different for a player to be
good.
in such a bad form. It's different when the best player is in a bad form versus another player is in a bad form. Like,
He's
dude,
averaged
it is
18 this year.
always different. Huh?
18 this year. He's averaged 18 this year in
See,
Test
I'm
cricket.
not. See, my
That is
point is,
abysmal.
bro,
That is,
Rishi. I
bro.
mean,
Even
sorry,
a
Rahul,
number
but
8 will have
you go back to
better numbers.
2021, his average was 67. So I don't. That's the thing. I don't want to
That's
be
that's
like,
almost 3 years ago. What is this like?
Yeah.
It's like saying he's playing with the same frequency as Olympics. Like that's not. That's
bro,
nowhere good.
you guys who understand players go through a rough patch. Like that's my whole
I think
point.
this rough
My
patch is
point
lasted
is,
way
it's
too
not
long.
fair
There's
to,
a difference
They
in
can't
rough
persist with
patch.
him.
There's a difference. See,
bro.
like
Rishi, they don't play enough test matches. They've played 9 Test matches in 2 years. 9 Test matches in 2 years. Is that enough for cricket in 2 entire years?
But you're
Only
playing
nine
in your
Test
home
matches.
country,
you,
Adi. You're playing in your
No, they
Adi,
played
you're
Sri
backyard.
Lanka.
playing the
Rahul, they
flattest
played 2 Test
crickets
matches
in
in
the
Sri Lanka. They
world.
played 4 Test matches in Australia. It's not that they've only played in Pakistan. It's a
Okay,
wrong
this
thing.
year, okay, in 2024, they played every single game in Pakistan.
But they've only
Okay.
played 5 games. Rahul, my point is, see, my point, I'm not going to sit and be like, it's not fair enough to just say, okay, they won one game. Now it's time for Babar Azam to go out. My whole point is, dude, next 3-4 games, they again go back to the same rut. They lose. My point is, there's no sample size to just say, yeah, one game is enough to be like, yeah, it's done now. Babar Azam is done. Bro, he has had credentials over the years. Bro, for example, you go back to Australia. Again, I'm not comparing. Virat was in a bad form during the Australia test, remember? And he left Australia. The same Virat left Australia. We went and won the series. We can't be like, okay, now Virat doesn't need to get a start. Again, I'm not comparing, but my whole point is we need to have enough test matches, enough sample size to say, okay, let Pakistan go win
Yeah,
two
so you
series
will get
without
this
Babar
sample.
Azam, then maybe yeah, I would say time is up. But again,
You will
my
get
point
only
is,
At the same time, Virat Kohli was scoring 50s, was scoring consistent 60s, 70s. He won us the World T20 game against Pakistan in Australia single-handedly. So there have been performances where there were clear
even
indications. There was a blueprint that he is playing really well. It's just not all coming together. There's a difference
yeah,
in a
Rishi,
player
that's
that's
my
playing.
whole point. Is dude, that's my point, bro. That's you don't. That's the point. India gets to play other cricket formats. But the thing with Babar Azam, it's like, bro, you're a bad form in Test game. Do you have any other outlet to go and get your rhythm back? Does
You do.
Pakistan do
Adi,
that?
you
Pakistan
do.
play
The thing is,
enough
Where,
one
T20s. They
second.
play enough
There's,
Pakistan Super
dude?
League.
Are you
There is
saying
bro, you
enough.
T20s and Test matches are the
beat
same thing?
Pakistan Super League.
Like, are you trying to say Test?
There is. Adi,
Exactly.
if now the BCCI has called up players who weren't playing anything to the Duleep Trophy to play 4 Test matches in
Did
Pakistan.
Virat Kohli play? Did Rohit Sharma
No,
play?
Virat Kohli didn't play, but still,
Exactly.
Virat Kohli is still performing. He still scored 70 in the first game against New Zealand. My thing
But
is,
Rahul, do you
one
realize
second,
like the
this
whole
year,
point is
will Babar Azam go and play first class cricket in Pakistan because there's no money, and this is a conversation I've seen a lot, like in Pakistani media at least. The fact that these guys don't play first class cricket at all. Now in India, at least you have the thing where, like, okay, if a
India has a
superstar,
system to play for proper first class cricket though.
they
Even
do,
for example,
they do.
for
Like that's
example,
why
if, for example,
Even Pakistan has a
yeah,
good first class
first class
setup. It's
system
just
is
it's
there.
not lucrative enough. It's not like
Just because there's no
giving the
money
same
in it,
media attention.
like
Exactly. There's
there is
no.
cricket to play. Cricket is always
have you
like,
guys watched Pakistan first class cricket
I
consistently to
haven't
be
watched
like its
Of
good level?
Pakistan
course,
first class cricket,
not
but
like
this is
we.
me
Exactly. So
coming.
we can't tell it no. Like again, from our perspective, can we sit and say, okay, Pakistan first class cricket? Do you know the full nuances of the situation where we can sit and say Babar Azam should go play first class cricket?
I
We
know
don't
the
know.
full
Now,
nuances of the
my point
situation.
is
That's
again,
not
I'm
getting
not
it.
going to sit
But
and
the
he
nuances
does
are
bro, but Babar
different.
Azam has gone played first class cricket in England, etc. Like I'm not going to sit and say this guy doesn't do that, right? Again, my whole point is it's just unfair to be like one game is enough to be like okay, let's kick him out. If you're doing that, I feel like we're just jumping the gun.
It's not one
Overall,
game, Adi. It is.
in
See,
the
It
but
has
world,
been two
bro,
years
he
since
was
he
still
bowled 15 Test cricket on flat wickets. He's played in good places. Australia is not a bad place to bat.
bro. But
Pakistan is
Rahul,
not a bad place to bat.
you guys are
The
saying
only tough
Multan
place he's
is
played is
a
Sri Lanka.
road.
That's it.
Multan is a road. Players around him.
Multan wasn't a road, Rishi. You go see, no one scored runs this
Adi,
game.
in the
Like,
last three
like,
games, Pakistan
Adi,
have put up 500, 500, 500 in the first innings.
I know, but this
Adi,
game itself, they didn't
Nitin
score
Raj
runs.
has
But you
scored
can't say
In this
190.
Multan's a
game,
road.
he's not
Multan's a
there
road.
in
Mustafiqur
this
Rahim has
game.
scored
Fair
190.
enough, but my point
Harry
is,
Brooks has scored 300. Joe Root has scored 200. When players are
bro,
scoring
Rishi,
300, 400, 200, when there are your
Bro,
own
England
teammates are
scored
scoring
780
hundreds,
runs. That's a
200s.
lot. That's massive.
okay, but do you guys still get it? Like, you're talking based on one series. My point is, Babar
No,
Azam
it's
plays
Not
not.
nine.
even one
It's
whole
been a
year.
long time.
Huh?
It's been a really long time.
It's been 2 years, I agree. But can you tell me how many games they played in 2 years?
9 games.
Is that a lot? Bro, you honestly, can you tell me nine
Nine
games is
test matches is a lot, Adi.
in
Nine
two
test matches is
years?
a lot.
In
18
2 years.
innings,
Bro,
It
18
come
doesn't
on.
matter.
innings.
Bro, you
9
guys
test
If you're
realize
matches
that
are
not
a
you
going
lot.
to score
both players on the
150, that says something. And if you're supposedly the premier batsman of the country, you have to get some flag. You can't just go without getting any media pressure, any pressure
bro,
from
Rishi, where did
others.
I
When
say no? But where did I say he doesn't deserve it? My point is that at the end of the day, we can't just sit and be like, yeah, one game they won. It's time for Babar Azam to go. And if you're doing that, we're just being very disingenuous
of
about
course,
the fact that
no
that
one's
is what you guys are saying. It's like
no
it's
one's
time.
axing
Like
him out. But where is the place right now?
that was
Like,
a
where is the
conversation.
place?
The conversation started by saying, "Is it time for Babar Azam to go?" And I said no. And you guys
No,
literally said that doesn't make
okay,
sense.
how do you fit him? Like, where do you fit him back in? Because either the
What do you
Pakistan
mean? Where do
batsmen
you put
are
him back
players,
in, bro? Like, that's the
the
whole point.
players
My
are
point
either
is, I
Indian
still think
players
he
or
deserves a
players with
chance. I'm not the
potential
coach.
in the
I'm
longer term. So who do you like? Who do you like leave out? Do you leave out players who have good long term potential, or do you have
Rishi, but
players who are batting well right now? Because you need runs
bro,
at the end of the day.
the number four player who played, he's played what? This is his debut.
So
So are
this
you
is
And he
saying
scored
debut.
because
100.
Kamran
I
Gulab, this is
agree,
his
but
first
are you
game.
saying this is one game is enough to be like no, Babar
Adi,
Azam
would you
doesn't get a
drop him?
chance?
But would you drop a guy who scored 100 in his on debut?
I would because I've seen a lot of players scoring a
When
century on the debut, still not being able to take.
when on, yeah.
So
So
one
I
second.
think
So you're the chief Pakistan selector. You're going into the third test. The debut batsman who came in and scored 100, you're gonna drop him for someone who hasn't scored a 50 in 9 games. Is that what you're telling?
Your context is someone, but the someone is still a very talented player, and that's where I come back to, bro. Like my point is, you guys are saying you're talking like Babar Azam is a guy who's never done anything in his career. Let's just continue the internet trolling and just
Adi,
make fun of him. You look
he
at
was
bro,
a
this
talented
guy's
player.
had
No
a
longer is.
lot of years of success, and you can't just deny it for the fact of 9 games or not able
Bro,
to score runs. Like
Since
you tell me if 9 games
2021.
is enough overall in your career to be like, okay, 9 games, you're not going to score, we're going to kick you out of the team. Like you just can't do. It's tough, maybe for the selector, maybe for the coach, whatever it is. It's going to be tough. There, it's at the end of the day, it's Pakistan coaches, Pakistan captain, Pakistan's cricket board's headache. It's not my headache. But my personal opinion is just that I don't think it's fair enough to just say, okay, Babar Azam doesn't deserve a chance anymore. Again, I still think he gets targeted heavily from everywhere, all over the cricketing world, compared to what he does. The
Bro, I
guy just
think
comes to play cricket. I don't think
his T20 numbers are absolutely poor. His test numbers are absolutely poor in the last 3 years. Now, I don't know based on what are we saying?
last 3 years test.
Yeah,
2 years, you mean?
Yeah,
In
whatever, 2 3 years, bro.
2021, I think he was the highest scorer in Tests in 2021. So, like, again, that's
I
my
don't know
point.
2021 what he was doing.
I don't know.
But
I can see he had an average of 67 now. My point is, it's very
fair enough.
not. It's not
In the
fair to
last,
just be like nine.
okay,
And my
22,
point is,
22.
9 games in 2 years, dude. It's India plays like
Okay,
12 games in a year, for example,
fine.
Test game.
Okay,
It's
okay.
just too less. And the point is, it's always like, bro, I'm not giving any excuses to barbarism, but my point is, it's just not fair because you see Pakistan, they don't play enough ODI games. The only thing they keep playing is T20 games. We've all seen this. They just prepare themselves for T20. This year, they only play T20 and Test. I don't think it's just fair enough to be like, okay, this guy is in a bad enough form. Okay, does he get another ODI game? Does he get other places to just go play cricket? I just don't think he gets it. And again, other players are still underperforming. They're scoring runs, I get it, but it's just not fair enough to be like, yeah, he's out of form. It's time for him to go. And I just think overall he's done enough in his career to be like, yeah, I can still come back into the team. And at the end of the day, he's still been Pakistan's best batsman over the past 4 5 years, like consistently. Every time when Pakistan were down, he was there scoring runs. So we can't just ignore that for the past 9 innings 18 innings, whatever it is, by saying, yeah, this 18 innings have been bad. Let's kick him out. Because you go back towards 2021, he scored centuries in like 2 3
That's a
games
long
continuously.
time ago. That's
20.
3 years back,
No, it's
four
no,
years
it's
back.
back. But again, my point is, I don't want to ignore everything. I'm just trying to be more fair enough to a player who's
No,
been
I
great
think
over his career.
I honestly, bro, see, I'm being as fair as I
But
can
he's
be.
no joker. I'm not going to sit and say
I'm
Babar
not
Azam just
saying
to
that.
base
I'm not
player.
saying that. If there was no other option, if there was no other way, play Babar Azam because yeah, he's been a class player for you for a number of years. You continue. The guy who's come and scored debut like 100 on debut, and if he does well again in the next few games, I cannot make an excuse for Babar Azam to say, "Come back, bro. This guy's scoring runs. You come and take his place." Like I can't do that. I don't know if you can, Rishi, because like to me, it doesn't make like for me, I can't sit and be like, okay, bro, like get Babar Azam right back in after the guy has scored 100 on debut. Like on a difficult wicket, it was not easy to bat like in this wicket. So given the context, I don't see how he comes back. At least for the third test, there's no chance. There's no way they're going to be looking at it. But after that, if Kamran Gulam does do well, like and he does score runs, what is the excuse for him to come? Where is the place for him? There is no place, anyways. So yeah,
Because
yeah.
like primary, like you look at the batting lineup, like they're not gonna chop and change the opening because they have a right arm, left arm batting option, which are like opening combination, which are doing well. Like Saim Ayub and Abdullah Shafiq are doing
Yes,
well right
Simon
now.
is doing very well, and so Abdullah
And
Shafiq had a couple of hundreds in his last couple of like.
exactly.
So,
And you have
yeah,
your captain. You're not going to drop your captain. You're not going to drop your wicket keeper. That leaves with Saud Shakil, who has been in great form.
Saud
And
Shakil has
now,
been like probably their best batter. Like
exactly. And then you have Kamran Gulam, who's coming off of a debut 100. So at least we have two scenarios after this series. Going to the next series, what you do, and for the next the final test, what you're gonna do. Final test, I do not think they're gonna like risk bringing Babar Azam back in instead of Kamran Gulam. There's gonna be a huge uproar, and in case the batting collapses, in case they're gonna lose the test, like the media, the pressure is gonna be too much. They're gonna like they won't have a justification like as to why they logically did that. And now if they do continue with Kamran Gulam, he performs well. Who do you remove in this batting lineup? It's as simple as that. Like either you mess with the balance of the team, or you mess with the informed batsmen, or you mess with the players who have promise, who are playing right now, who probably will have better scores going forward with, you can say that, with a like with a safer surety than Babar Azam. So where does he fit in? Who do you jeopardize? That is the bigger question, I feel.
it's a tough question, and the interesting thing is, bro, like I mean, like if I really look into it, and if I'm being really critical of like the situation, if Babar Azam comes back, I just feel like, bro, like then they've just done some harakiri here because this was the toughest wicket in the series. He's gone back, coming back to Rawalpindi. You're going to be getting a flat wicket there. He's coming and he scores a few runs there, then everyone's quiet. So, but anyways, I don't want to get into it. Who's winning the third test? Adi, who do you think is winning this test series? Because it's very interesting now. It's really fun. I hope it's not a crappy wicket. I really don't want to draw from this third test. I just hope they make a little challenging wicket like they did for this one. Um, if we get a result, who do you think wins?
I still think England can win this. I would say England overall.
Yeah, Rishi, England.
Yeah, no, I think England are winning that. They're going back to Rawalpindi. It's been a batting fest. I feel like now that the players are they pretty much know what they're gonna get, and I feel the batsmen are just too comfortable in their form. They like you could see Joe Root batting in left arm. He was not even switching at a point. He was just holding the left. He was taking the stance with left hand. That's how comfortable the England batsmen were. So now, if you're going back to that, like, of course, I feel Pakistan is like they are confident with the win, but I think it's too much a mental battle. If they manage to win this test, that's going to show some mental resilience because they're going back to a ground where they were absolutely flogged by England. So going back there and outplaying them is going to take some mental resolve. So I don't know if they have it in them, but I feel England at the end of the day, England is just gonna have the upper hand over Pakistan.
Yeah, man. If they produce a road, I just don't see how Joe Root doesn't get another double hundred. But yeah, that's where we stand. I think England win this too. But yeah, that's where we stand, guys. Let us know in the comments if you think Babar Azam deserves to get back into the Pakistan team. It's an interesting question. I'm sure a lot of Pakistani fans want to have their say. A lot of cricket fans want to have their say as well. Thanks for joining Adi Rishi, and yeah, like and share the videos, guys. Subscribe to Sports Kabri. We'll see you soon.